The US elections are right around the corner, and we know that you still have some questions. So we here at the US Embassy invited two American experts, one Republican and one Democrat, to try to answer some of those questions. What are the topics that are most interesting this year to American voters? How is disinformation impacting the elections? And what are the topics that the two candidates are talking about? We invited those two experts here to the embassy to share their perspectives with you. Take a look.
I'm Jason Altmire, a former United States Congressman from the United States, and we are here in Vienna.
And I'm Mark Pfeifle. I was at one point the Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communications at the White House, and now I have a public affairs firm in Washington, D.C. So great to be here at the embassy.
You're seeing polarization all across the world, but in America, polarization is probably as bad as it's been since our Civil War. And there's a lot of causes for that. Part of it is there is a legitimate difference of opinion on public policy. The nation is divided on many big issues. But part of the reason is because people are able to segregate their news sources in a way that they are never exposed to the other side. They don't hear a different point of view. So when politicians have a town hall meeting, for example, they'll only hear one side because of the way the districts are drawn to encompass partisan constituencies rather than try to mix it up and hear different points of view. When you go on the social media sites, when you watch the network news, especially the cable news in America, people choose to affiliate with a source of information with which they agree. And the algorithm promotes that. So even if you're factually inaccurate in your beliefs, even if the information that you're getting is incorrect, that's all you're going to hear, and you're going to hear support for that position. So addressing polarization is very, very difficult because we are so divided as a society, but our sources of information are also divided.
You know, one thing we can do in our countries, whether it's Austria or the US, is to really have more media literacy in our schools. You know, I learned math, not very well, but I learned some math and writing and reading. But because we spend so much time with our phones and we're consuming so much information, media's got to be taught too, how to interpret it, how to listen to it, how to see things and see mistruths and see where somebody's trying to drive a derision in our society. We're always going to, like you said, Jason, we're always going to have things that try and bring us apart, whether it's religion or race or social income disparity or whatever it is type of thing. But if we can get more education moving through our system, wherever we are, whether we're in Europe or in the US, I think that would be of paramount importance for our future.
I think you're right that civics education is a big part of it. Students learning about history, our place in the world as a nation, learning about other countries, the relationships that have existed. I think that's missing in our education today.
And if you see something that is disinformation, point it out. You know, if you see your relative that posted something that is obviously wrong on their Facebook page, call them and tell them. You know, that's the way you're going to fix this. There's only so much that the algorithms of these social media programs can do in real time to fix it. We're going to have to take responsibility as citizens of free societies to find it and to see it and to squash it. What we're seeing is that, you know, our societies, whether it's in Europe or it's in the US, you know, we have challenges, and we know that. We have to realize that. And because we have a free society and free web and free internet and freedom of speech and assembly, that's going to impact us. Now, other societies that don't have those same rights and freedoms that we have realize that. So whether you're the Iranians or Chinese or Russians, they're trying to sow that distortion in our society in a way to drive us apart. We know that and we realize it. So we've got to be cognizant of that. And we need to have civil society, our education infrastructure, our governmental infrastructure, our nonprofit infrastructure, all of them working together collaboratively and then across countries. So the US is working with the EU, is working with various European countries and Asian countries so that we can see in real time how they're trying to impact us. That's the way that we're going to make a difference in this over the long term.
And there's different types of disinformation. Something as simple as just politically seeing an issue the way you would like it to be seen rather than as it really is, a policy issue. That's very different than someone going out of their way to portray a candidate in a negative light, to use artificial intelligence to show somebody saying something that they're not really saying. Everyone focuses on President Trump and Vice President Harris from a presentation style angle. Vice President Harris and President Trump have very different styles. They behave differently. They approach their public personas very differently, but there is a real difference on public policy as well. And I think a lot of voters in America are going to cast their votes based upon the persona rather than the policies. And the policies are very important. Issue, I mentioned climate change, immigration, the economy, taxation. Certainly abortion is a big issue in America since our Supreme Court overturned the right to an abortion. These are issues on which there are legitimate differences of opinion, on which most normal campaigns would be waged on the policy applications. But I think there's a level above that in this election that has to do all about candidate behavior.
I think what we have to do as voters in democracies is just do a lot of studying and reading and kind of test our boundaries. What do you believe? Let's dig a little bit deeper into that. And then let's read a little bit deeper into the news than just the headline or one story. That's how we're going to break into this and really find out what these candidates are all about. And it'll make us make a better, more informed decision when we finally go and vote. And then realize that the relationship that the US has with Austria is so resilient. And it has lasted. When we walked through the embassy and we saw dozens of pictures of US ambassadors to Austria, and you see that history through administrations, through enormous challenges and wars, Jason, it just ratified with me that this is so large and so wonderful, the relationship that our two countries have.
It puts it in perspective that across different parties, different presidents, different administrations, we remain allies. We have that relationship hasn't changed over the years.